You ever come across a story so strange, so deeply unsettling, yet so unbelievably real, that it immediately grabs your attention and doesn't let go? Well, today I'm about to share one of those stories with you, a story that starts with something as innocent and pure as a baby's reaction to music but quickly unravels into a chilling mystery connected to one of the darkest events you've probably never heard of before. Imagine this: a baby, barely old enough to recognize voices or faces, suddenly shows a very specific, almost eerie response, but only when a certain song plays. It's not just any song, it's a haunting melody that was shockingly popular during a tragic and mysterious abduction years ago. Now, I know you're wondering, why would a baby react to that particular song? What does it mean? How could this innocent little life be connected to something so sinister? These are exactly the questions we're going to explore, and trust me, the answers you're about to hear will leave you stunned. If you've ever been curious about how seemingly random pieces of the past suddenly resurface in the most unexpected ways, or how music, yes, music, can carry memories and secrets across time, then you're in the right place. I want you to feel this story deeply, to imagine being there with the parents, feeling their confusion and dread as they watched their child's unusual behavior. You're not just a bystander here. This story pulls you in, forcing you to question everything you thought you knew about innocence, trauma, and the invisible ties that bind us all. From the first moments of this video, I want you to listen carefully and think about the sounds that move you, the songs that bring back memories you can't shake off. What if those sounds were more than just notes and rhythm? What if they were echoes from the past, messages from a place you never thought possible? Today, I'm going to guide you through this eerie journey, sharing the story of a baby whose reaction to a certain song opens up a mystery that connects family, loss, and a chilling crime from years ago. You'll meet the key people involved: the worried parents, the researchers who studied the baby's reactions, and the law enforcement officials who uncovered the dark history behind that song. But I won't reveal everything just yet, because this story needs time to unfold. You need to feel the tension rise, to experience the confusion and hope these characters feel. We'll talk about the power of music, the mysteries of memory, and how sometimes, the past refuses to stay buried. So, stick with me, because by the end of this video, you will understand why this baby's unique reaction isn't just a strange coincidence. It's a clue, a piece of a puzzle that has haunted a community and touched countless lives. I want you to stay curious, because the truth is stranger than fiction, and it's waiting just around the corner. But before we dive deeper, I have to warn you, this story isn't just about a song or a baby's reaction. It's about confronting the shadows of the past and the questions we don't want to ask but must. Are you ready to unravel this mystery with me? Then keep watching, because what happens next will challenge everything you thought you knew about music, memory, and the unseen connections that shape our lives. Right now, you might be wondering, what is this song? Why is it so important? And how could it possibly be linked to an abduction that shook a whole town? Those answers are coming, but not yet. Instead, I want you to imagine the scene: a baby sitting quietly in a living room, surrounded by family, suddenly breaking into an unusual expression, a reaction so intense and specific it can't be ignored. The song plays again, and the baby's eyes widen, their body tenses, a flicker of recognition so profound it sends chills down the spine of everyone watching. At that moment, the parents realize something is deeply wrong, and something they never expected is about to change their lives forever. This isn't just a video about a baby or a song. It's about uncovering secrets that hide in plain sight and how sometimes, the smallest moments can reveal the biggest mysteries. So keep watching, because the full story will blow your mind, and by the end, you'll never listen to that song the same way again. As the baby's unusual reaction to the song rippled through the family's quiet home, the layers beneath this seemingly simple moment began to peel away, revealing a complex web of recent events and strained relationships that no one could have predicted. The parents, Sarah and Michael, had been living what appeared to be an ordinary life, juggling the demands of new parenthood with their careers, but beneath the surface, tensions had been simmering. Sarah, a schoolteacher known for her warm demeanor and dedication, had recently returned from a trip back to her hometown, a place with its own shadows and secrets that she rarely spoke about. Michael, a software engineer who spent long hours working from home, had been unusually distant, distracted by a series of mysterious phone calls and late-night messages that he brushed off as work-related but left Sarah feeling uneasy. Their relationship, once strong, had started to crack under the pressure of sleepless nights and mounting stress, creating a fragile atmosphere where trust was tested and questions went unanswered. What made the baby's reaction even more puzzling was the fact that this particular song had no obvious connection to their everyday lives. It was a tune that Sarah vaguely remembered from her childhood, a haunting melody that had been popular years ago, one tied to a tragic news story about a local abduction that had gripped the nation. That case had long been considered cold, with few leads and no closure, but the memory of it lingered like a ghost in the background of Sarah's past. Friends and family noticed her subtle reactions when the song played on the radio, and some even joked that the melody seemed to carry an eerie weight, a sense of something unresolved. Meanwhile, Michael's behavior grew more secretive. He was evasive about who he was talking to, and there were rumors among their neighbors of strange people seen lurking near their house late at night. Some speculated it was nothing more than harmless curiosity, while others whispered darker possibilities. Was someone watching them, connected to that old case, or perhaps to Michael himself? As these strange occurrences multiplied, the community around them began to buzz with speculation. Sarah's closest friend, Lisa, who had always been fiercely protective of her, started digging into Michael's background, uncovering a trail of old acquaintances and unexplained gaps in his past. At the same time, an anonymous tip surfaced at the local police station, suggesting that someone close to the family might know more about the abduction case than they let on. Was it just paranoia fueled by the baby's reaction, or was there something more sinister at play? Then there were the neighbors, some sympathetic, others suspicious, who reported seeing unfamiliar cars parked nearby and hearing whispered conversations in the dead of night. With every new detail, the mystery deepened. The more Sarah and Michael tried to keep their lives normal for their baby, the more impossible it became to ignore the shadows creeping in around them. The more Sarah and Jake uncovered, the more the story seemed to fracture, revealing a tangled web of betrayals, hidden agendas, and dangerous secrets that threatened not only their family but the entire community. As they inched closer to what they hoped would be the truth, it became clear that someone powerful was desperate to keep this secret buried, and they were willing to go to terrifying lengths to ensure it stayed that way. The baby's reaction to the song was no longer an isolated mystery, it was the thread unraveling a much larger tapestry of deception and danger. And just when it seemed like the pieces might finally fall into place, a sudden blackout in the neighborhood plunged Sarah's home into darkness, a chilling reminder that some shadows never truly fade. The story is far from over, and every revelation only deepens the mystery, leaving you to wonder, who can be trusted, what really happened all those years ago, and how far will those involved go to protect their secrets? Stay with me, because the answers you seek are closer than ever, but the danger has never been greater. Just as Sarah began to feel she might finally catch a break in the tangled nightmare surrounding her baby's strange reaction and the haunting song tied to that old abduction, everything took a sudden and terrifying turn into darkness. It wasn't just the usual late-night knocks on the door or the faint shadows slipping past the curtains anymore. This was something far more direct, far more personal. One evening, as Sarah returned home after putting the baby to sleep, she noticed a car parked a little too long across the street, its engine idling softly under the yellow glow of the street lamp. She felt the unmistakable chill of being watched, her heart pounding as she quickened her pace, only to realize that no matter how fast she moved, the car seemed to follow. That night, the paranoia that had been quietly gnawing at her turned into a sharp, overwhelming fear. Every creak in the floorboards, every rustle outside her window, felt like a warning, a signal that whoever was behind this was no longer content to hide in the shadows. They wanted her to know that she was being watched, tracked, and that there was no escaping this. The next morning brought worse news that shattered whatever fragile sense of safety Sarah had left. Jake, her brother, had disappeared without a trace. He hadn't answered calls, texts, or messages, and his friends claimed they hadn't seen him in days. The timing was no coincidence. Sarah's mind raced through every possibility, every warning they'd been given, every hint that someone was trying to stop them from uncovering the truth. The weight of his absence pressed down on her chest, mixing with a growing sense of helplessness and anger. How could she protect her baby when her own brother had vanished, possibly taken because of the very mystery they were trying to solve? The people who had once seemed like distant shadows now felt dangerously close, and Sarah knew in her gut that her family's secrets were far more deadly than she had ever imagined. As the days passed, Sarah's fears began to consume her, twisting into a relentless paranoia. Who could she trust? Was Michael's silence now a shield for her or a sign of something darker? Was Lisa really the friend she believed her to be, or was she hiding her own agenda? And what about David, the enigmatic man who hovered on the edge of their lives? Was he friend or foe, protector or predator? Every familiar face became a question mark, every phone call a possible trap, every quiet moment charged with the possibility of danger. With the disappearance of Jake and the mounting threats, Sarah felt herself slipping into a world where every step forward came at a staggering cost, where the line between reality and fear blurred until she could hardly tell which was which. She replayed every conversation, every look, trying to find clues in the silence, searching for answers in the absence. The song, the one her baby reacted to so strongly, now sounded like a dirge echoing through her mind, a constant reminder that something horrific was buried in their past and that the forces keeping it hidden were willing to do anything to protect their secrets. Sarah's nights became restless, haunted by shadows that seemed to move just out of sight, by the desperate hope that Jake was still alive somewhere, and by the crushing realization that uncovering the truth might come with a price she wasn't sure she or her family could pay. This wasn't just a story about a song or a baby's reaction anymore, it was a fight for survival against an unseen enemy whose reach extended farther and deeper than she ever could have imagined. As the tension spirals, you have to ask yourself, who is really pulling the strings in this dark drama? What are they so desperate to hide? And what will it take for Sarah to break free from this nightmare before it's too late? The answers are still out there, hidden in shadows and silence, waiting for someone brave enough to find them. But with every passing moment, the danger grows, and the question remains, how far will the darkness go to keep the truth buried? Stay with me, because the story is far from over and the most chilling revelations are yet to come. Just when it seemed like Sarah's world couldn't get any darker, when the weight of Jake's disappearance and the relentless fear pressing on her every move felt unbearable, the story took a shocking turn that flipped everything on its head. It wasn't an outside force or a shadowy figure lurking in the night that turned the tide, but someone she thought she knew better than anyone, Michael. The man she had trusted with her life, who shared her home and her child, suddenly revealed a secret so devastating that it shattered the fragile foundation of everything she believed. In a quiet, trembling confession one late night, Michael admitted that the song, the one their baby reacted to with such intensity, was no random relic from a distant tragedy. It was a carefully chosen trigger, linked to a hidden part of their family's past that neither Sarah nor Jake had ever been told about. The melody wasn't just haunting, it was a signal, a code used by a group Michael had once been involved with, a secretive network whose reach extended far beyond the small town they called home. This revelation forced Sarah to reconsider everything. The abduction wasn't just an old, cold case. It was tied to something far more sinister and complicated, something involving Michael's past that he had kept hidden to protect them. He confessed that Jake's disappearance wasn't random either, but part of a dangerous game he had tried to keep Sarah out of. There were forces at play that were watching, manipulating, and controlling their lives in ways she never imagined. The baby's reaction to the song was a clue, yes, but not the clue she thought it was. It was a warning embedded in a melody that connected them all to a secret society, one that had used the abduction as a cover-up to bury deeper crimes and maintain their power. Suddenly, Lisa's strange behavior, David's cryptic warnings, and the anonymous threats took on new meaning. Everyone was part of a puzzle far bigger and darker than Sarah had ever dreamed. As Michael's confession sank in, Sarah realized that the people she'd counted on might be pawns or players in a shadowy game where trust was the most dangerous gamble. The narrative she had clung to about family, innocence, and a haunting past fractured into something unrecognizable. The baby's reactions weren't just a heartbreaking mystery, they were a signal in a complex web of betrayal, secrets, and survival. And Jake? He wasn't just missing, he had stumbled onto something too explosive, something powerful forces wanted erased. The truth was no longer about finding a missing person or solving a decades-old abduction. It was about unmasking a conspiracy so deep that it threatened to consume everyone involved. This twist doesn't just turn the story upside down, it throws a spotlight on the harsh reality that sometimes the people closest to us carry the darkest secrets, and the past never truly stays buried. Now, as Sarah stands on the edge of this terrifying new reality, the questions multiply. Who can she trust when betrayal is stitched into the fabric of her life? What is the real story behind the song that haunts her baby's cries? And how far will the shadowy forces go to keep their secrets hidden, even if it means destroying the very family Sarah is trying to save? The mystery deepens, and the stakes have never been higher. Stay with me, because what happens next will challenge everything you thought you knew and leave you questioning the truth behind every note of that chilling melody. The weight of Michael's confession pressed down on Sarah like a storm about to break, and as the days blurred together, she found herself trapped in a harrowing crossroad where every choice seemed like a gamble with no winning outcome. The man she loved, the father of her child, was tangled up in a web of secrets so deep and dangerous that even trusting him felt like stepping into quicksand. Sarah knew she had to confront him not just to demand answers, but to understand how far he was willing to go to protect this shadowy network and what that meant for their family. But the moment she finally faced Michael, the air between them was thick with fear and regret. He didn't deny the danger anymore. Instead, he laid out a chilling ultimatum that shattered whatever hope Sarah had left. He warned her that if she kept pushing for the truth, it wouldn't just be her who suffered. Jake's disappearance was proof enough that the stakes were real, and now Sarah had to choose: step back and preserve what little safety they had, or risk everything, her family, her sanity, and even her life, to expose the dark secrets that had haunted them for years. The choice was impossible. To stay silent felt like betraying everything she believed in, but to dig deeper was to invite disaster. Sarah's mind raced with memories of Jake's laughter, her baby's innocent eyes, and the fragile moments of peace she longed to protect. Yet, beneath it all, a fierce determination burned. She couldn't ignore the feeling that somewhere buried beneath the lies and threats was a truth that could finally free them, even if it meant stepping into the unknown alone. The emotional weight of this decision tore at her. She was caught between the desperate need to protect her family and the unbearable urge to fight for justice. Every night, she wrestled with doubt, fear, and guilt, knowing that whatever path she chose would change their lives forever. Adding to the pressure, Sarah began noticing subtle signs that she was being watched more closely than ever. Strange messages appeared on her phone, cryptic warnings hidden in everyday conversations, and the unsettling presence of strangers in places she once considered safe. Her relationships frayed under the strain, friends who once offered comfort now seemed distant or suspicious, and even Michael's hesitant promises couldn't drown out the creeping feeling that betrayal lurked just beneath the surface. The song that had started this all, the haunting melody her baby reacted to, became a relentless reminder of the danger closing in around her, a soundtrack to a life unraveling in real time. Every choice felt like walking a razor's edge between survival and destruction, and Sarah was forced to question not just the people around her, but her own strength to face what lay ahead. This is where the story takes its darkest turn, not with answers, but with the unbearable tension of impossible choices and growing threats. Sarah's struggle is not just a battle against external forces, but an intimate fight within herself, torn between love, fear, and the relentless pursuit of truth. As the shadows close in, and the stakes rise higher than ever, you have to ask yourself, what would you do if the truth meant risking everything you hold dear? And in a world where trust is scarce and secrets deadly, who can you really believe? The journey is far from over, and every moment brings Sarah closer to a reckoning that could shatter her world or finally set her free. As Sarah raced against time, the pieces of the puzzle began to snap together with a brutal clarity that left her breathless and terrified. What started as a haunting mystery centered on her baby's strange reaction to a forgotten song was no longer a small-town secret. It was a sprawling conspiracy that tangled far beyond her family and the shadowy past she'd been trying to uncover. The truth hit her like a tidal wave. This wasn't just about one abduction or a hidden betrayal, it was a vast network, a sinister organization with roots that stretched into places she had never imagined: local authorities, powerful families, even some of the very people she had trusted most. Every phone call she answered, every familiar face she encountered, now felt like a trap set by an enemy whose reach was deeper and more ruthless than she could have feared. The walls closed in faster than Sarah anticipated when she discovered that Lisa, her closest friend, the one who had stood by her side through every sleepless night and frantic search, was not the ally she thought she was. Instead, Lisa was a double agent, feeding information back to the very group Sarah had been desperate to expose. The betrayal cut deep, not just because of the danger it posed, but because it shattered the fragile sense of trust Sarah clung to in a world that was quickly turning hostile and unpredictable. Lisa's cold confession revealed the stakes. The group controlling this network wasn't just hiding secrets from the past, they were actively manipulating the present, silencing anyone who threatened to expose them. Jake's disappearance, the vanished recordings, the cryptic warnings, it was all part of a carefully orchestrated campaign to keep Sarah and her family in the dark and under control. The danger became immediate and visceral as Sarah realized that she wasn't just uncovering old wounds but stepping into a live battlefield. Every move she made was being watched, every ally could be a foe, and the forces arrayed against her had the resources and the will to stop her at any cost. The baby's reaction to the song wasn't just a strange coincidence, it was a coded signal, a thread linking Sarah's family to something much larger, something terrifying enough to demand silence through fear and intimidation. Now, with the betrayal of Lisa fresh and raw, Sarah found herself isolated but more determined than ever. The urgency pressed in around her like a vice. She had to find Jake, expose the conspiracy, and protect her child before the shadows closed in for good. This climax surged forward with relentless intensity, the fragile alliances shattered, secrets unveiled in harsh flashes of truth, and the terrifying realization that the fight was no longer about solving a mystery but about survival against an enemy that had already crossed every line. The stakes had never been higher, the danger more real, and Sarah's world was spinning faster than she could hold on to. As she faced the darkest hour, with everything and everyone she loved at risk, the question remained, would she find the strength to break the cycle, or would the weight of the conspiracy crush her and those she fought so fiercely to save? The answers hang in the balance, and as the tension reaches a fever pitch, one thing is clear, this is far from over, and the truth, when it comes, will be more shocking than anyone ever expected. The moment Sarah had been dreading and desperate for arrived in a swirl of chaos and raw emotion that shattered the fragile calm she had managed to hold on to. After weeks of running, questioning, and piecing together clues that led to dead ends and betrayals, she finally found herself face to face with the dark heart of the conspiracy, a clandestine warehouse on the outskirts of town, where the truth had been hidden in plain sight all along. Her baby's cries seemed to echo in her ears, a haunting reminder of what was at stake as she stepped through the dimly lit space, every sense sharpened, every instinct screaming danger. The air was thick with tension, charged with the weight of secrets long buried and lies long told. And there, waiting in the shadows, was Michael, no longer the man she thought she knew, but the architect of the nightmare that had engulfed her family. His eyes, once filled with love and hesitation, now glinted cold and resolute, as if he had made peace with the darkness he had helped unleash. What followed wasn't just a confrontation, it was a battle of wills, a psychological chess match where every word, every hesitation could tip the scales between salvation and destruction. Michael confessed that the song, the baby's strange reaction, and the abduction were all part of a carefully orchestrated plan designed by the secret network to manipulate and control. They had chosen Sarah's family because of a hidden legacy, an unbreakable bloodline tied to knowledge and power that the group sought to harness or destroy. Jake's disappearance, the threats, the warnings, they were all calculated moves to keep Sarah compliant, to trap her in a cage built of fear and deception. But Sarah, fueled by raw desperation and fierce love, refused to be broken. She challenged Michael, demanding to know why he betrayed her and what he truly wanted. The answer was chilling: control, survival, and the twisted belief that the ends justified the means. As the confrontation escalated, the tension became almost unbearable. Words turned to shouts, accusations to confessions, and beneath it all lay the unspoken truth of a family torn apart by secrets too heavy to carry. Just when it seemed the night would end in tragedy, Sarah's resolve crystallized into a single, blazing clarity: she would fight for her family, for Jake, and for the truth no matter the cost. In a desperate move, she uncovered a hidden compartment in Michael's coat, revealing the last piece of evidence, a USB drive containing detailed files exposing the entire network, their crimes, and their plans. It was the breakthrough she had been waiting for, the key to dismantling the conspiracy and saving her brother. But before she could react, a figure emerged from the shadows: Lisa. Not just a traitor but a deeper player in the game, someone who had been manipulating both sides, her true allegiance a secret until this very moment. Lisa's revelation hit Sarah like a blow to the chest. She was not only working against her but had been instrumental in orchestrating Jake's disappearance to maintain control over the network's operations. The betrayal was complete and devastating, the stakes higher than ever. The final twist came with Lisa's warning, a threat veiled in cold calculation that if Sarah chose to expose the truth, the consequences would ripple far beyond their family, threatening everyone they cared about. The warehouse, once a place of answers, now felt like a trap closing in, with no clear escape. Yet, even in that moment of despair, Sarah's fierce determination burned brighter than ever. She knew that the fight wasn't just for her family's survival, it was for the chance to break free from the shadows that had haunted them for so long and bring the darkness into the light. The climax left Sarah standing on the precipice between destruction and hope, surrounded by enemies, and armed with the truth that could change everything. The question lingering as the scene faded to black was clear and urgent. Would she have the strength to expose the conspiracy, save Jake, and protect her family, or would the shadows claim them all? This story is far from over, and the next chapter promises even more shocking revelations and heart-stopping moments you won't want to miss. After the harrowing confrontation in the warehouse, Sarah's world shifted in ways she had never imagined possible. The evidence she held, the damning files on the USB drive, became the key to unraveling the vast conspiracy that had haunted her family for years, and with it, the power to bring justice to those who had lived in the shadows for far too long. Authorities, pushed by the undeniable proof, launched a sweeping investigation that dismantled the secret network piece by piece, exposing corruption and betrayal that reached into places Sarah never dreamed of. Jake was found, shaken but alive, hidden away in a safe house, a living testament to the strength of family bonds and the indomitable will to survive. The reunion was bittersweet, marked by tears, relief, and the heavy realization that even in victory, scars remain. Yet, amidst the chaos of exposure and rescue, Sarah found something deeper, a fragile peace that whispered in the quiet moments between fear and hope. The baby, once so unsettled by the mysterious song, now slept soundly, a symbol of innocence restored and the possibility of new beginnings. Michael's betrayal, Lisa's deception, the twisted web of lies, they all became part of a story Sarah could finally face, not as a prisoner of the past but as a survivor who had fought for the truth with everything she had. But the resolution wasn't simple or neat. Even as the network crumbled, Sarah knew the echoes of what had happened would linger, shadows that might never fully fade. The song that started it all, the haunting melody that had sparked this nightmare, remained a haunting reminder that some mysteries run deeper than we realize, and sometimes, the most chilling truths are the ones we carry inside us. In the end, Sarah's journey wasn't just about uncovering a secret or solving a mystery, it was about reclaiming control over her life and choosing to face the unknown with courage, even when the answers don't come easily or completely. As she looked out over the quiet town now bathed in the soft glow of dawn, she understood that peace wasn't about forgetting but about moving forward with the strength to confront whatever might come next. The story closes not with a full stop but with a lingering question, a subtle hint that while this chapter has ended, the forces that shaped her life might still be watching, waiting, and ready to return in new, unexpected ways. It's a reminder that some shadows never fully disappear, and some songs, once heard, echo forever. This story stays with you long after the screen fades to black, challenging you to think about trust, family, and the hidden battles fought behind closed doors. It asks, how far would you go to protect the ones you love? And when the past reaches into the present, what truths are you willing to face? As you sit with these questions, remember Sarah's courage and the haunting melody that sparked a fight for justice, and know that some stories, like the song itself, are never truly over.